Trial of Chicago 7 just came out on Netflix, and it's directed by Aaron Sorkin. It's also written by Aaron Sorkin. He's one of my favorite screenwriters, and it stars so many people. Eddie Redmayne, Sacha Baron Cohen, Mark Rylance, Yahya Abdul, I don't even know how to say his name. He was Black Manta from the Aquaman movie. So the cast is huge. It's insane. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to go see it, and it's an Aaron Sorkin movie. I love the guy. Social Network, Molly's Game, Steve Jobs. This guy can write. He's the type of screenwriter where however complex and hard to understand a movie is, he writes quick and snappy dialogue that gets to the point and makes at least the dialogue, you can at least follow the dialogue and follow what's going on because his writing is so sharp. Let's say if Tenet, which was Christopher Nolan's movie that came out this year, was written by him, people will understand it better, and at the same time it will maintain that fact that the movie is really, confusing and complex and there's so many things going on. But this movie might just be my favorite movie of the year. So if you don't know what the Chicago 7 is, it's based on a true story. I think it happened in the 70s. Yeah, the 70s. So these 7 men, they were in charge of these protests that were against the Vietnam War. It led to this very famous trial. I won't get too into the details because there's a lot to cover and I don't want to spoil this movie, and I know people won't go see this movie. It's on Netflix. You can literally see it if you have the streaming service, but I please urge you to watch this movie because it's so relevant to our time, our social climate in the United States. This movie, it felt like Aaron Sorkin made this movie like last week, because of how relevant its subject matter is. This movie has an incredible cast, like I said before. Everyone's phenomenal here. The acting is incredible. I haven't seen Eddie Redmayne in a movie since like Fantastic Beasts 2, which was terrible, but he's so good in this movie. And so is Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen's a crazy guy in every movie, and he seems like he's playing the same type of character in every movie, but he's really good here. Mark Rylance, who I haven't seen since Dunkirk. Black Manta, I'm just gonna call him that. He's very good in this movie too. I have one issue with this character, but we'll get into that later. The writing is so sharp here. Honestly, Aaron Sorkin, I can just watch a movie of his where 2 people are sitting at a dinner table and just talking for like an hour, because his dialogue is so good. The editing and the music choices and the soundtrack itself is just remarkable. Like my eyes were glued to the screen, the way the film looked and how it was edited. There are moments in the film where they use real footage from the actual protests and riots that happened in the movie, and they intertwine it with, the movie's interpretation of that sequence. And they put flashes of it and flashes of footage or flashes of photography from that protest and they melded into the actual sequence when they're showing it off. If any other director or any other person would have done this, or let's say, I don't know, if Michael Bay made this movie, he'll somehow put in explosions in the scene, even though it makes no sense. The fact that you're injecting in real moments, real footage into a sequence that's depicting that, he would have done it in the most cringy, disgusting way possible. And here, I usually don't like that type of style, but here it's done so well. There's a sequence in this movie where a riot happens. The way that sequence, it just got stuck in my head. It achieves so many things. One, it just builds momentum and builds so much tension and suspense, because this scene is a police riot. The police have surrounded these protesters, and these protesters are surrounded, and then they have no idea what to do. And then a huge riot happens where police are beating men and women, and it's just this bloody sequence. The way they put in music and the way they edited it and how things were moving quick and the cinematography and stuff, it just was so impactful that I was glued to the screen. I loved every second of it. And the courtroom scenes when these proceedings and the trial is going on, every moment, it's heart-wrenching, and then like every piece of dialogue and every moment a character yells, for example, or does something insane, like Black Manta's character, who he plays this African American man he's accused of killing a cop, and he's really good in this movie. And now let's talk about Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. He plays a lawyer that is going against the Chicago 7. Basically, the main characters that the movie revolves around. And they make his character, and they write, and Aaron Sorkin wrote his character in a way in which he's not just some jerk who's just there to, like, I don't know, piss off the good guys. Like, he actually has some depth, and there are moments where they show that he's an actual human being and not some bad guy who's just there to ruin everyone's day. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays him really well, and he's a great actor, so there's that. I love this movie, honestly. This movie, like I said, is my favorite movie of the year, and it's funny how Netflix put out the most mediocre movies this year at the same time, like really good movies. Like, for example, Devil All the Time and this movie are so good. And then we got like generic crap like Extraction and Project Power. In terms of flaws, I have very few. Honestly, these aren't even flaws, these are nitpicks. I wish the movie was longer, because at the end, you know, they do what each typical biopic does. They put like text saying what happened to each person. And some of the things that happen to these people are like really surprising. Like, I did not expect. I won't spoil it here. And I suggest you do not research about this phenomenon until you see this movie. I wish the movie was a little longer, just to, you know, flesh the event out just a little bit more. I just wanted more, you know, because I really wanted to see how all these characters end up, and I wanted to see that on screen. The movie's only like 2 hours and 10 minutes. I wish it was like 3 hours. But it's not like it's gonna make the movie like, it's not like it needed that time. Within the time it gets, it's impactful. So many movies take a long time to get interesting. The first scene, boom. The way, just the dialogue. The first line, you're like, all right, I'm in. That's how good it is. That's if you like dialogue-driven movies. People nowadays have an attention span of like 5 milliseconds, where like if things don't blow up in like the first scene, they're like, all right, I'm out. Where's Iron Man? I want to see Iron Man. Can you give me Iron Man? My other flaw with this movie is what I mentioned a couple minutes back, I think. I don't know how long this video is. It's Yahya Abdul-Mateen's character. He is in this movie for like the first act and a half, and then he just like goes away. It was kind of weird. They tell you what happens to his character like on a text at the end of the movie, but I just wish like he got some sort of closure, because there's this really insane thing that happens to him. I don't think they even mentioned him afterwards, which was kind of weird. And also, there's another thing. Michael Keaton's in this movie. Like, I didn't even know he was in this movie, but he's in this movie for like two scenes like that. That each scene lasts about like 2 or 3 minutes. What I just said are just nitpicks, and nitpicks nitpicks aren't a reason for me to lower a movie score by like 1 point or something. So this movie gets a 10 out of 10, all right? I'm telling you right now, I made up my mind. I thought long and hard about this. Trial of Chicago 7 is my favorite movie of the year so far. The competition really is Devil All the Time and Tenet, and those movies were pretty good, but this movie is the first like really amazing movie I saw this year. But honestly, you need to go see this movie. It's on Netflix, okay? I'm sure most of you have Netflix. Thank you all for watching, and remember, subscribe and stuff. And yeah, I'll see you next time.